Cal, Kayce, and escaped fugitive Neil are struggling to get out of the woods during a snowstorm as CBS's Marshals episode 11 opens. Episode 10's ending made it seem as if Kayce was going to take Neil to the train station after realizing he knew all the Dutton family secrets. But Cal's sudden appearance threw a wrench into his plans, and now the threesome need to make it back to Cal's car before getting snowed in. Slipping back into the flashback, the team of Cal and Kayce takes cover while making their way up the mountain under fire. Kayce and Cal split up and Kayce is able to take out a few enemies. Kayce radios in and Cal orders everyone to fall back, but he resists. Cal grabs a wounded Garrett, but Roner isn't with him. Cal continues to insist that they fall back because they're outmanned and informs Kayce that Roner is dead. Andrea interrogates Ripley about the call he received from Neil. Ripley claims Neil asked for clothes and a gun, but Ripley refused, even when Neil offered to share the money from the bank job. Belle learned the other call Neil made was to a guy named Ben, and Ripley says he's not involved in whatever Neil and Ben have going on. Neil went to jail for the bank robbery that he and Ben pulled off, and Ben is probably heading to Neil's location with guns and supplies. When offered a reward, Ripley gives them Ben's real name and a general location where he's meeting with Neil. Belle and Andrea suspect that Ben is heading to the same area where Cal and Kayce were tracking Neil. Kayce leaves to gather more kindling and while he's gone, Neil provides Cal with a little info on the Duttons. When Kayce returns, Cal asks about the train station. Cal believes Neil and suspects that Kayce left Garrett at the hospital after recognizing Neil as one of the escaped fugitives. Cal's furious that Kayce may cost him his badge if Neil tells the authorities what he knows. He's also angry that Kayce tries to act high and mighty about the Garrett situation, and yet his hands are incredibly dirty. Cal accuses Kayce of tracking Neil only to protect his family. Another flashback shows Kayce, Garrett, and Cal return to base without Roner. Kayce blames himself for not moving faster to retrieve Roner. Cal confirms the Rangers are working on a recovery mission. Their commanding officer joins them with footage from a drone showing that Roner was still alive when they left him behind and fell back on Cal's orders. Fans have been loving the latest Yellowstone spin-off since its March 1 debut. Centered entirely on Kayce Dutton, Marshals follows John Dutton's son as he embarks on a new path by joining a specialized team of U.S. Marshals. A major bombshell was revealed immediately, as Kayce's beloved wife, Monica, has tragically died from cancer. The episode later reveals that the illness may have been related to toxins dumped by a mine on the Broken Rock Reservation. We learn that this loss has deeply affected Kayce in a profound way as he admits to how her death has gravely impacted his life. He agrees to join the Marshals team, giving him a renewed sense of purpose. Kayce later visits Monica's memorial, promising his late wife that he will begin to try again. Actor Luke Grimes returned to the role as Kayce as well as Broken Rock chairman Thomas Rainwater, played by Gil Birmingham. The spin-off also welcomed a new cast member, Logan Marshall Green, who will play Pete, Calvin, a close friend from Kayce's military past. Earlier this season, country fans tuned in to watch country singer Riley Green as he made his big acting debut. Riley plays a troubled cowboy named Garrett. This is Riley's first acting role, and it's a pretty big one to land without prior experience. In an interview with Entertainment Tonight on the red carpet of the show's premiere, the singer shared that he was introduced to the opportunity by Luke. The two are friends in real life and have even worked together before, since Luke is also a country singer. When Riley mentioned his interest in acting, Luke helped connect him with an audition, and from there, everything moved fast. On Sunday, May 10th, episode 11 of Marshals aired. The episode follows Kayce and Cal as they become stranded in the mountains during a dangerous snowstorm while tracking one of the escaped fugitives, Neil. Tensions rise after Neil hints that he knows damaging secrets about the Dutton family, including details connected to the infamous train station. As the trio struggles to survive freezing conditions, flashbacks reveal the truth about a failed military mission involving Kayce, Cal, Garrett, and Roner. The episode confirms that Roner was left behind during combat after Cal ordered the team to retreat, a decision that fractured the group for years. Marshals revealed a traumatic story from Kayce Dutton's, Luke Grimes, military past that still haunts him and his fellow veterans, Cal, Logan Marshall Green, and Garrett, Riley Green, in episode 11. The flashback revealed how their fallen friend, Roner, Jay Reeves, died in combat, and the present-day plot ended in more tragedy after a character was killed off. The infamous train station from Yellowstone was also revealed, threatening Kayce's new life. Warning, Marshals Season 1 Episode 11 spoilers ahead. The episode picked up in the snowstorm on the mountain, where it left off at the end of episode 10. Kayce caught an escaped prisoner, Neil, Sterling Jones, from the bus crash and discovered he was a former cowboy from the Yellowstone ranch, brand and all. Cal found them on the mountain as Kayce debated killing Neil to keep Dutton family's secrets buried. Garrett and Kayce have been blaming Cal for their friend, Roner's, death ever since Garrett arrived in Montana. Garrett was being treated for severe burns and smoke inhalation in the hospital after a fire on Kayce's ranch while the Marshals were at work. Kayce and Cal found shelter with Neil in an abandoned cabin, but it hardly kept them warm, and Cal fell through ice on a body of water, putting his life at risk. As Cal tried to warm up and Kayce searched for firewood, Neil told Cal about the train station to divide the two Marshals, who were fighting over Garrett and what had happened between them as Navy SEALs. Flashbacks revealed that Kayce, Cal, Roner, and Garrett were involved in a dangerous mission during a deployment that left Roner injured. Kayce got an order from Cal that they had to leave him behind because he had died. Later, when they returned to their base, higher-ups revealed that Roner was alive when he was abandoned during the conflict, but fighting off enemies alone got him killed. His unnecessary death has haunted the three of them ever since, and Kayce and Garrett blamed Cal. More flashbacks revealed that it was Garrett who told Cal that Roner was dead. Cal covered up Garrett's mistake all of these years because he still felt responsible for Roner's death as the leader of their squad. Kayce admitted that the train station, a no-man's land just over the Wyoming border from Montana, where the Duttons would dump the bodies of their slain enemies, was real. Cal agreed to keep it a secret in honor of what they've been through together. We're now 4 weeks into Yellowstone's first spin-off, and with the series now officially renewed for another season, it seems like the show is wrapping up its setup phase and settling into its new identity. That's precisely what we got in The Gathering Storm, as dueling plotlines gave several members of the team a chance to develop in more rounded ways. Whether or not the characters will choose to follow through on them all remains to be seen. Here's what you missed on this week's episode. The primary plot of this week was divided among two cases. On one side, Harry, the head of the Marshal's office, tasks most of the team with an investigation into one of their own, Kayce, of course. It seems that Clegg, the potential season big bad who was introduced last week, has filed a complaint with the Department of Justice saying that his son was actually unarmed when Kayce shot him in episode 3. As such, Kayce is benched. This will last approximately 30 seconds, while Andrea leads Belle and Miles in their own investigation of the shooting to try and get out in front of the DOJ inquiry. The team feels openly conflicted about this, with Belle and Miles clearly on Kayce's side, while Andrea is in the awkward position of having to choose her loyalties. Harry wants her to dig up some reason to kick Kayce off of the team before the DOJ uncovers any Dutton family skeletons, not quite going so far as telling her to manufacture evidence, but implying heavily that her ability to get rid of Kayce could result in her much hoped for transfer back to her old team in DC. There's, frankly, a lot of runaround in this plotline as the team tries variously to track down any motive Kayce would have to kill Clegg's son. Clegg threatens to go to the press, an old Yellowstone plotline involving Tate's kidnapping is discussed, and Harry attempts to railroad Kayce on some very thin evidence, all of which I'm just going to hand-wave away for the moment as it ends up feeling like much ado about nothing. In the end, when the team manages to turn up some trail cameras that recorded a video proving that Kayce was in the right all along, convenient. Kayce's badge is saved. The team all feel bad for investigating him, even though it was literally their jobs. Harry is pissed off at Andrea, but Andrea feels the same way and warns him never to manipulate her like that again. On the other side of this week's plot are Kayce and Cal, who, truly 30 seconds after Harry tells Kayce he can't work cases, head out on a search and rescue operation with the Rangers. A rich local landowner and his helicopter pilot have disappeared amidst high winds and dangerous weather. The guys head out on horseback to search part of the grid, in case you were worried that the helicopter might have crashed in any other sector, don't, and also for some good old manly bonding time, amidst discussions about Kayce's issues with rich guys who buy lots of ranch land and acting like king of the valley, daddy issues, whether Kayce killing Clegg's son was justified, and another lecture about Kayce not making friends with the team. They managed to get held at gunpoint by a scruffy man.